Hello friends and lovers, it's Haelian again, and today we're going to be going over the daggers. This is meant to be a guide toward the different dagger aspects, how to build them, boons, hammers, all that sort of manner. Let's just get into it. I suspect that this is going to go by faster than when we were talking about the different staff aspects, because I don't think there's many intricacies with the dagger to really discuss. But anyway, let's talk about it. Aspects of Mel. Your attacks and specials deal more damage by striking foes from behind. Now, this is going to be a weapon where it kind of depends on the hammers you get, and we will go over the hammers later. But I think generally, at least when I'm starting a build with Aspect of Mel, I try to just get either a Hestia or Poseidon on the attack and spam the attack. That's where I tend to have the easiest time. Don't worry too much about the backstab damage bonus. It's hard to really build toward it. You can't force yourself to be backstabbing enemies 100% of the time. In fact, there's some enemies like Typhon that are incredibly difficult to backstab, particularly with like the attack like this. So, in other words, don't think that you have to go get more backstab damage bonus from Apollo's backburner boon, right? It isn't necessary to get more because you're not going to necessarily reliably be getting more backstabs with it. Now, maybe if they made it so this aspect, made it easier to backstab enemies, I'd have a different opinion of that or something like that. But I guess that's not really what this video is about. So yeah, just go ahead and throw I think it's going to be Poseidon or Hestia on the attack to start. And depending on the hammers that come out, you might want to build the other way and suddenly go into specials or something like that, just because you got a very good special hammer or something. So this is one that could kind of go either way, truth be told. But either way, I think you do start with Poseidon or Hestia's attack in order to have a good run. I guess I'll say that you could get at least one particular hammer. I'm thinking of Sweeping Ambush that might make you want to do an Omega attack build. That's probably the number one thing that might make you do an Omega attack. But otherwise, I'm not a huge fan of the Mega attack on this weapon. It's kind of clunky. Sometimes you just whiff. You're not close enough to the enemies, those kinds of things. But it can work with the right hammers, at least. Next up, we have Aspect of Artemis. While you channel your Omega attack, you occasionally parry, then riposte right after, and your Omega attack speed is plus 60%. It channels much, much faster. This is probably one of the more confusing aspects that we have out here because there's just a lot to kind of go over. So, you charge your Omega attack, and then if an enemy card tries to attack you, you will parry them with a 12-second cooldown. After you parry them, you will then be in riposte, which means that you are impervious for 1 second just to kind of stop you from taking damage from other sources, right? And kind of protect you for a little bit. And your next 9 strikes have plus 50% crit chance. Sorry, my face is blocking the tooltip over there. So your strikes. Strikes means attack, special, Omega special. All 4 of those things, those all count as a strike, basically. You know what I mean? So I can't really show you, but you charge your Omega attack, you let an enemy try to hit you, and then you can let loose and have a ton of crit chance. Now, crit chance is really, really powerful in this game. It's triple damage, That's really good. That's also one of the reasons why it's kind of rare to be able to get it. So getting 50%, it's good. It is a powerful aspect. I will admit I don't love it, only because I don't like having to try to time my Omega attack and wait for an enemy to try to hit me and slows down combat, but it's not about what I like or don't like. It's about how do we build it out. So again, this kind of is similar to Aspect of Mel, where you might want to build this differently depending on what kind of hammers you get. So if you get offered Sweeping Ambush, you'll probably want to do an Omega attack build. If you get offered, say, Skulking Onslaught, again, maybe Omega attack, maybe regular attack build would be really nice. Hidden Knives would be really nice to get into an Omega special build, basically. Final Slice is great for a regular attack build, I would say, too. Trick Knives, oh my god, it just works with everything. It almost doesn't matter at that point. It's just so strong. We're going to talk more about the hammers later. I'm sorry, but I had to show you them now. So what boons would you want to start with? Well, you probably want to be careful and at least start with something for your attack. See what gets offered for the hammer again, and then try to guide yourself after that. So I think Apollo's attack, Aphrodite's attack. Since only your strikes can crit, you really want a percentage boon on your attack slash special. So Apollo, Demeter, Hera, Aphrodite, all those gods basically. And you don't really want, say, Hephaestus, because your strike has the crit chance. Not everything has crit chance, you know what I mean? Strike equals the white weapon damage you're inflicting. It would not boost the crit chance of Poseidon's splashes, Hephaestus's blasts. Scorch already can't crit, but you know what I mean, I hope. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good layout for Artemis. Next up, we got Aspect of Pan. Your specials may seek foes in your cast and fire more shots if you channel for longer. Omega special max shots plus 5. Pan, there was a time where Pan was extremely well loved and liked, and then things kind of changed, unfortunately, for Pan. and then it kind of fell a little bit behind. But it's a very strong aspect. I still do think it's a very safe aspect, you know? If you get a throwable cast like Glowing Coal or Lightning Lance from, say, Zeus, that really helps you stay at a difference and to stay safe. You know, a throwable cast just means that you don't have to run up to the enemies and drop your cast on them. This way you can throw your cast, charge up a special from far away, and hit them all. So you'd probably want something like Poseidon on the special. It is still probably the king. You'd really want to try to go for the Poseidon Legendary if you're going to do this. Don't worry too much about the Ares Duo boon. It's good. I mean, sure, it's great, but the Legendary is incredibly important in order to get a decent amount of boss damage, basically. Let's see, where is that boon I'm thinking of? Arterial Spray, 25% chance. The chance just feels kind of low, truth be told, but it's not bad. It's certainly not bad. It's something fun to kind of aim for. But yeah, after that, you know, you kind of just go here and do this. The only problem with this aspect is how long it takes to charge that Omega Special, as you can see. It takes quite a long time in order to do so. So a lot of times you're just not going to be able to charge up to full. But yeah, pretty much any hammer that affects your specials is going to feel quite nice with this aspect, you know? So yeah, that's what you're going to do. One big thing about this aspect, and this works for a lot of other weapons, is that you can drop your cast while you're charging your Omega Specials. That's pretty important, really. I don't think you can actually do it when you're doing the Omega attack. No, you cannot. See how it reset the Omega attack timer there. So it's very hit or miss when you can do that, truth be told. But yeah, it's something to kind of pay attention to make things a little bit smoother. All right, last one is aspect of the Morrigan. You have the Crow Cutters, which can perform the Ritual of the Blood Triad. Blood Triad damage 777. So the big thing to know about this aspect is that you cannot alter that 777 damage outside of a couple of hammers, basically. It doesn't get increased by global damage modifiers. It can't crit. You know, it can't get double damage from Ares, nothing like that. So it's always 777, basically, again, outside of a couple of hammers. But nevertheless, that's a lot. 777 is a lot. It's just kind of a nice bonus to doing, like, some crazy combos here. So I think the standard combo, and this is going to get complex, so forgive me, is to hold down the attack button, but as soon as you start holding it down, you dash in order to sort of interrupt the attack animation. Keep holding it down, and Mel will charge an Omega attack at the end of her dash. You then let go of that, then you use the special, kind of rinse and repeat, but you can get really elaborate with it. I'll try to show you what I mean here. I don't know why I dropped that, basically. Interesting that it got rid of that. But yeah, it's kind of hard to really elicit here or to really explain. But I think I have a hard time just because I'm really not used to just tapping the attack. Tapping the dash button as soon as I start holding down the attack button. So it's taken a lot for me to try to get used to this bad boy, you know what I mean? Especially after some of the changes. But it did kind of change going into 1.0, I'm afraid. So if you got used to one form, you're going to have to get used to another form. But this is only to min-max it. Don't worry too much about it. But I would recommend kind of doing Omega attack-related things just because the Omega Special is sort of a problem, you know? It's sort of a problem. It's not great. It doesn't hit enemies well. It doesn't deal a lot of damage. It doesn't even trigger that often like they make it out to be. And the bigger issue with the special is that it has a really long internal cooldown. Actually, this regular special and the Omega Special share that cooldown. So I throw out an Omega Special, right? I'm tapping the special button, tapping the special button. That's as quick as I could throw at a regular special. And in order to get the Blood Triad, you have to do one of each of the following: an attack, a special, and any Omega move. Could be your Omega attack, Omega Special, or Omega Cast even. Omega Cast is pretty hard to land, though, as you can imagine. So it's hard to work in Omega Specials when you need to be throwing out the special so often because you just can't do them back to back. You know what I mean? Again, that's my special, and this is the earliest I can charge an Omega Special. It doesn't require Mel to catch the special or anything. It looks that way, but the truth is it's just on a timer, as you can see here, because you can actually have more than one out. Like so. So that's Morrigan. So what about boons here? Well, this is where you could kind of have some fun because the Blood Triad can help carry a lot of damage. So someone like Hephaestus works really well and is kind of fun and interesting with this because you could either take the attack or the special if you start off with one of his boons, right? Whichever one has the highest rarity or the lowest cooldown, and you can kind of get going that way. A lot of people like the Apollo attack just because the Omega attack gets really big when you use Apollo's attack for this. That's kind of a nice, safer thing. You could even try to segue into the Apollo Legendary after that and get double Omega attacks going on here. You are relying on some goofy hammers, really. But there's a lot of hammers that actually work quite well with Morrigan, surprisingly. There's actually quite a few that works well. But I think that's what you're kind of aiming for boons. You can do the Hephaestus sort of suite, right, and get all those duo boons for Hephaestus. You could go for Apollo, maybe go for his legendary to have some fun. Otherwise, just worry about getting origination and the right hammers, basically. Speaking of the right hammers, let's get into them. So we have Sweeping Ambush. Your Omega attack deals plus 400% damage in a wider area, but uses plus 20 magic. Very, very powerful hammer across all of the aspects, actually, in some ways. I mean, wouldn't really want it with aspect of Pan, where you're using specials a lot, right? But it's a really fun hammer if and when you get it. Some aspects really rely on this hammer almost a lot, but it's probably S tier, you know, whatever you want to call it. 400% damage is also a lot, and the wider area just feels so good with it. You just gotta have the magic to support it, but really strong hammer for 3 out of the 4 aspects, right? You can even use it on Morrigan. Deus Ignites, your specials deal plus 50% damage, and each hit bounces toward up to 2 more foes. Decent on Pan, you know, aspect of Pan. Wouldn't really care about it with Morrigan. Wouldn't really care about it with Artemis, though, either, you know. It's like all right, basically, for a run where you're doing a lot of special stuff, you know. Not a very high priority at the end of the day, probably like a B or something. Your Omega Special fires each shot dead ahead, and your specials have 30% range. I find the range to actually just not be useful here. However, weirdly, the whole fires straight ahead thing is kind of nice across all the aspects, because you no longer have a spread. So this will help you with you know, single target damage, but it might hurt you in room clear advantage, you know. You're able to send all the specials at one enemy with something like this. But then, again, you need to be doing a build that wants you to use an Omega Special, which means you probably want to use the aspect of Pan, and Pan already has the homing feature, so why do you need this? You kind of don't, is the truth. In other words, this hammer's, it's not great, but weirdly it feels kind of okay to fire dead ahead and not have to worry about your cast being on top of the enemy you're trying to aim for. Rapid Onslaught, your attacks are 35% faster. I actually find this hammer to not feel impactful, like, at all. Even if you're just doing a rapid attack build, just mashing the button or something like that. I kind of can't tell the difference when I have it on. I kind of feel like it's a waste of time, you know. You could help you charge the Mega Attack faster, but the truth is the Mega Attack already charges really fast. I think you skip it most of the time. Melting Sickle, each hit from your special deals 500 damage to armor. Decent hammer. It's actually quite good in terms of the armor melting hammers. It's fine. It's good. It's quite takeable. You know, when you know you have some mini bosses left, for instance, or if you got some chunky enemies because you're using Vow of Fangs or something like that, it's a solid take potentially if you don't really like the others mostly. Skulking Onslaught, your attacks deal 150% more damage striking foes from behind. It sounds like it pairs well with the Omega attack, right? Because you're going to teleport behind and nothing personal the enemies when you use the Omega attack, right? The truth is, it's just kind of okay. You know, it's actually probably one of the better hammers overall, but I think trying to build toward it with the Omega attack, again, I don't know if leaning in on backstabs is really the answer for a lot of this stuff, but it's still an okay hammer, at least. Again, I'd rate it as okay. Reaper Knives, your special has plus 15 power and deal damage in a wider area. I think this one's actually pretty good in terms of a special build, you know, or specials. We haven't really gotten to the best hammers yet, but I think this one's actually pretty decent, at least, you know, probably like a high B tier. It just does what it says, basically. Not much to say about it. Now, Hidden Knives is really nice. Your specials deal plus 20% damage, and your Omega special fires plus 3 shots. The big thing about that final line there, your Omega special fires plus 3 shots, it means you get a minimum of 3 shots when you start charging. In other words, you get those plus 3 shots at the beginning of the Omega channeling charge. I hope that makes sense. You know, it just feels really nice to kind of get out a lot of specials even faster than before, because you can really start spamming it. It's just, this is definitely, yeah, this has to be the best Omega special related hammer that we have here, for sure. So it's definitely going to be best with Pan, and if I saw this while doing you know, an aspect of Mel run, I'd probably take it. Maybe an aspect of Artemis run, to be honest. I don't know about Morrigan, though. I don't know about Morrigan with that. Final Sight's the last strike in your attack sequence deals plus 300% damage in a larger area. I mean, that's a lot. 300% is a lot of damage, right? And then the larger area, they mean larger area. This feels particularly interesting with Morrigan, where the attack combo is actually only 2 hits. 1, 2. 1, 2. So you do it quite rapidly, versus all the other daggers have a much longer animation in order to do the last combo. That's the last one for aspect of Mel, in fact, for all 3 of the other aspects there. So, again, feels really good with Morrigan, and it feels pretty good on the other ones too, just because that large area, it works well with like Artemis if you did put Apollo on the attack or something like that. I think that plus 300% just feels really good. Wicked Onslaught, your attacks have plus 20 power. Kind of a boring hammer, but surprisingly potent and powerful, particularly with all these different builds like Artemis or Mel, where you might be using like Apollo's attack or something like that, right? Or even Morrigan, it's actually pretty good. Again, if you're using Apollo's attack for one of these, plus getting some plus power on your regular attacks just feels really good, or Omega attacks for that matter. Sudden Flare, you channel your Omega special 40% faster. Feels like kind of a waste, to be honest. Even on Pan, where I'm complaining about how slow the Omega special charges, I don't think I feel this enough, really, to be worth it. And there's too many other really strong special-related hammers like Hidden Knives, Reaper Knives, Trick Knives that we'll get to soon. I find myself almost never taking this, sadly. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's that impactful. Now here is probably one of the most broken hammers in the entire game. Never mind for the weapon itself, Trick Knives. Your Dash Strike also fires your special 3 times at once in a fan pattern. You cannot get it with Morrigan, but you can get it for all 3 of the other aspects, and if you do get it offered and you simply want to win the run, Trick Knives is practically an instant win button for those 3 aspects, you know? So a Dash Strike looks like that. That's a Dash Strike. And you can just rinse and repeat that. You don't even have to hit the enemy in order to get those 3 specials to pop out after doing the Dash Strike. It's not necessary. So you can just be throwing out triple specials all over the place, and then you can try to aim for Stutter Step from Hermes to get out more Dash Strikes and things like that. And then this way you can, you know, apply, say, Blitz with the attack, and then throw out a chunky special from, I don't know, Aphrodite, Apollo, whoever, you know, and you just get so much damage so quickly. It's so strong. It's so good. I realize it doesn't sound as good as it is for some reason in the description, but trust me, it is so good. It is so good. All right, the home stretch. So these are the 3 hammers that are specifically for aspect of Morrigan. You got Phantom Brand. Your Blood Triad deals plus 222 damage. It's actually extremely similar to the one below it. Blood Triad has a 33% chance to strike once more. They are near equal in terms of the damage that they provide, truth be told. So I kind of look at them the same, you know, in some ways. But I don't know, maybe the reliable damage just feels nicer rather than gambling on the chance, right? But either way, they just pump up your Blood Triad. So you wouldn't take these if you're still struggling to get the Blood Triad damage to pop, or, you know, the sequence isn't really hitting you, or you're having trouble remembering not just the order, but the actual, you know, one thing I had to get used to was what these different symbols mean. So bottom left is attack, bottom right is special, and the top is any Omega, basically. So if you're still struggling with that, you probably don't want to dive too hard into these hammers, but they're good. They're strong. There's a lot of decent hammers from Morrigan out there, so it is kind of tough to choose, I'll admit. But these are kind of like middle of the road, maybe like high B or low A or something like that in my mind. And lastly, all we got is Sinister Opinion. Don't bother. I tried. It's not worth it. I don't understand it. It doesn't really do anything almost. You know, there's just better hammers out there for every single time, no matter what you're trying to do with this bad boy. A lot of people have a funny idea where you throw out the special and you have them chase you around and you try to use Sinister Opinion for this. I'll admit, it's funny. It's funny, you got me there, but it's not good. It's just not good, I'm afraid. All right, that's it for my dagger guide. If you got questions for me, let me know down in the comments. I will try my best. Also, if you got build suggestions, I know some people were asking for more build suggestions for my other videos there. So if you got some that you think people will enjoy, make sure you let me know down in the comments. Like, subscribe, know what's going on. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video, which is going to be about the torches. Bye-bye.